Hi, I'm Dr. Ebony Stone, and this is the Black Woman in the Corner Office. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Black Woman in the Corner Office podcast. I have a really cool guest for you today. And as you can see, we're doing things a little different today, right? Melissa is not in studio with us. She is actually in a place that I would love to be. She is in North Carolina. And one day, maybe, I'm going to convince Cartier to live there. He's not convinced just yet. So let me go ahead and introduce Melissa. And then she's going to talk about the power of resilience. As you know, this season, we're talking about the power of all things, right? And so we're going to talk about the power of resilience. But let me give you a little bit about why Melissa is, I'm going to call her expert. She probably going to say, don't call me an expert, but I'm going to call her an expert in resilience. And I'm going to give you a little bit about why. So Melissa Rivers is a self-awareness coach and a change management consultant. She partners with women leaders, teams, and organizations to support dynamic transformations. Melissa loves to facilitate life-inspiring workshops and self-care events. With more than 25 years in corporate America, Melissa decided to pursue her dreams of entrepreneurship and founded Origins of Peace, a conflict resolution boutique in 2019. Her mission is to empower women leaders to reclaim their peace, power, and influence over troubling thoughts and emotions that affect their life and work. Her newly released book, From God with Love, Finding Peace Within, takes readers on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth, offering practical wisdom and encouragement for women seeking to claim their power, purpose, and passion. Within 24 hours of its release, and I watched this happen, within 24 hours of its release, From God with Love ranked bestseller and hot new release in 4 categories. Welcome, Melissa.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good.
Miss Best-selling author.
Yes.
I'm
Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yes, loving all of that. So we're going to talk about the power of resilience. And resilience is something that we hear a lot about in today's world. And so I thought it would be what's the word I'm looking for? I thought it made sense to talk about
Mm,
resilience,
mm,
especially with someone who I consider to be one of the most resilient people I know. Full disclosure, I do know Melissa. We met at a coaching program, and it was really interesting. We'll tell you the story off mic, off book, another day. That's not what we're here to talk about. But she is really one of the most resilient people I know. So I want to start with this, Melissa. Can you give me your definition of resilience?
So, my definition of resilience is having the ability to overcome challenging situations. So, when life does throw those challenges at you, you find the inspiration and the encouragement to pick yourself up and move forward. I feel like it's an important characteristic to possess, but I also feel like sometimes it can be overutilized. So, my best approach is to use resilience in a balanced method, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And we can get into this a little later, how I feel about resilience. I think resilience is important, but the way it is used in today's world is extremely interesting.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about why I believe you to be one of the most resilient people, why I called you an expert, and all of those things. I want our listeners to be able to really understand your story. And so, one of the things that you are very open about, and I thank you for being transparent about it, is being a breast cancer survivor.
Mhm.
Can you tell us a little bit about that journey and what it taught you about resiliency?
Yeah. So honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you, before I had any test, um, I already knew that I had breast cancer. And it was because I'm real in tune with God's voice and how he speaks to me. And it was during a very hurried season in my life. I was going through a divorce at the time. I had just been promoted to a new position in my career. So I was hurried from one thing to the next. I felt like I needed to wrap some things up so that I could start into a fresh season in life. But there was this voice telling me to go have a test, go get your mammogram, is exactly what the voice said. And when I slowed down long enough, I understood that that was God talking to me. So I kind of, braced myself to know that, okay, if I'm getting this alert, then I
Mm,
need to be ready for what's next.
mm.
That
Sometimes,
journey, yeah.
not to cut you off, but I just think it's so important that we pause for a moment
Hmm.
and just talk about that. So many times we are running and we hear stop. Like we
Yes.
hear go take care of this. We hear the voice is telling us, right? God is telling us to go. Some people call it intuition, but whatever you call it, it's there.
Yes.
We have got to listen to that voice. For me, it's the
Mm.
voice of God, right? The urgings, the
Right.
intuition, whatever you want to call it. You have got to listen and move when it says move. I just wanted to kind of point that out because I think that is powerful in your story. You said you already knew because you
Yeah,
already heard it.
I already heard it. And I'm glad you did point that out because, yes, in the hurriedness of life and work, which that season of my life was really hurried, but I
Mm,
heard the voice very clearly. And I said, okay, God, I hear you. And then from there, I took action, which to me is a form of resilience because, I took the time to stop, to listen, pay attention, and take action, even though in the back of my mind, I was bracing myself for what was to come next. It took a lot of bravery to act on, hearing those words.
I'm sure. I'm sure. And so, what did going through that, if you don't mind sharing, what did it look like and what did it teach you about resiliency? First, to stop and listen to the voice of God, but were there any other lessons that you learned going through that journey?
So many, because when the day came for me to actually show up and go get my mammogram, there
Hmm.
was a mobile bus in my community. And the person on the phone who I called and talked, because I wasn't 40 yet. So there was nothing on paper that said, hey, let me in because I need to get this test. So it was 2 weeks before my 40th birthday. And I really had to advocate for myself on the phone.
Mm.
And the way that I positioned it was, hey, I just started a new position at work. I'll be in training for the next few weeks. I'm about to turn 40 in 2 weeks, but I would like to know, since I'm already off work and you have a mobile bill inside of my neighborhood, can I please go get my mammogram?
Oh,
And that's
wow.
how I positioned it. Yeah. So doing that, and with a little bit of opposition, but I was told that I could go and I
Okay.
went.
Okay.
But when I got there, it was a whole different story because
Mm.
it was, who told you could come? Do you have an authorization? You're not 40 yet. Why are you here? It's not time. I heard all of those things. But because I was already ready equipped with the word that God told me to go get a mammogram, and I had already got the permission from the person on the phone for me to show up, there was nothing that I was going to allow to stop me from getting that mammogram on that day. So
I
I got
love
my
that.
mammogram.
Yes. And so many people, so many times, we let the smallest thing stop us,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Um, the smallest of things, like I got up and I have a headache. Now, don't look. That's a bad example. Bad example because if you got a headache, you need to stop. But you get up and maybe your outfit is not fitting the way you want the outfit to fit.
yeah.
Oh well, you got to keep moving sometimes, right? You got to
Right.
keep doing the things that you want to do, or that you need to do. And so, you followed the voice of God. You went
Mm-hmm.
on this journey. You got your diagnosis, went through treatment,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm sure was not the easiest thing to do.
It was not.
Yes. And then you got word that what? After you go through treatment, what's the next step?
So let me back up just a little bit because there
Okay.
were some lessons along the way that I learned. Because right after I had my test performed on the bus that day, when the lady came out to speak with me, the representative, I should say, I could tell by the look on her face that she saw something on there and she was regretting our interaction, that we had before. So
Mm,
the lesson in that is you never know what somebody else is going through. So please, do
mm,
your
mm.
best to be as hospitable as you can. Because
Just be
we're
kind.
just be kind. We all on different missions here. And you don't want your legacy in this mission to be something that's just off color. So, her whole demeanor changed after that. And I was like, okay, you know, so she told me I would need to go into the office and have another follow up because it was my first scan
Mm,
and there was nothing to compare it to. So,
okay.
she tried to be as nice as she could with the message that, hey, just go in here and have another look. But, when I went in and it was confirmed, it took about another week or so for them to confirm it. And from that point, it became, so how severe is it? What stage am I in? All the questions started coming. Like, what would my treatment plan look like? And all of those things. But fast forward, because I'm still here and God is good. But after my surgery, I was assigned to an oncologist who didn't take time to look at my report before I came through the door.
Mm,
Praise God that I had a great surgeon who had already spoke to me and told me what was in my report and what, they had to do. And it was a little more invasive than what I was originally thought. There was more there than,
okay.
than what showed up on the scan. But when I went to the actual oncologist to get my treatment plan and how we were going to, treat it going forward, he hadn't even taken the time to read through my report. So that next lesson was, when you're going through stuff, you got to watch who's around you. You got to watch who you allow in your circle. So I
Mm,
fired my doctor. I fired
nice.
him immediately. I got an advocate, someone that would be in the room taking notes. I got a new doctor.
So
And,
can we pause for a moment?
yes. Yes,
Another intentional pause that I think is so important. You said you fired your doctor.
I did.
I just want to point that out because I think it's important that we understand we can.
Yes.
The doctor works for you.
Yes.
Fire them if you need to. I just felt the need to bring that out. I do. I'm gonna jot down a question. Keep going with your story. I'm gonna jot down
Okay.
a question. Another question that I have for you. That in this story, I feel like I've heard parts of it,
Mm-hmm.
but something just triggered that I never heard before. So keep going.
Okay. So in those interactions, I truly learned how to advocate for myself, but more importantly, I taught the people around me how to treat me in this situation. I
Mm,
was, I was just turning 40, so they expected me to be really emotional, really unsure of what I wanted, and it was not that because I was real clear in the message that I received from God when He said, go get your mammogram. It was that plain and simple. So from there, I had my marching orders to take care of myself. So I
mm-hmm.
did everything with intention, with pause, as you say, because I needed to put some space in between how I was feeling and what I was going through so that I could actually show up and advocate for myself.
I love that. I love that. So either I just didn't know this, or sometimes you just don't hear it in the same way. You said that you were starting a new job.
Mm-hmm.
And so, since we are talking about, what we deal with as Black women in these offices and corporate spaces, talk to me a little bit about, I guess, being in a new job and life being turned upside down outside of work. Like,
Oh yeah.
how do you manage that?
I didn't. It didn't go very
Mm,
well at all. The new position that I was going into, I didn't realize that that whole part of the organization was in disarray, and
mm,
it was very stressful. So going through those treatments, I honestly had to disconnect myself. So I had to go out on FMLA and take time to take care of myself. And I'll be honest, I lost my job while I was out. And
mm.
a lot of people don't understand when I say that, but the company was going through a reorg at the time, and the whole arm of the org that I was in, it was no more. It was like they just erased it from the whole org chart. So
Wow.
in that situation, I was finishing up my treatments. I was trying to wrap my mind around, going back into the office and settling into this new position that I really didn't even have a chance to enjoy. But before any of that could happen, the position was eliminated. So, me in the state that I was in at that time, I was tired. I'm honestly going to tell you, I was tired. I was stressed from just everything that was happening. And I welcomed it because I knew that I would have a little bit of time off where I could breathe, where I could fully recover and take care of myself. And I just didn't want to rush back into doing life again until I had time to sit with who this new version of Melissa was, because honestly, everything about me changed in that instance.
That is absolutely amazing. What you just said, Alyssa, you still there? There you go.
Yeah, I'm here.
Sorry. On my end, something went real weird. What you just said, I think is super powerful, right? You said um you needed time to sit with you and
Mhm.
learn the new Melissa.
Yes.
If that ain't a part of resiliency, I don't know what is. The world would have you to believe that just need to keep going, right?
Mhm.
And I learned that in a real special way in the last couple of years. But we grow, we evolve, and sometimes we just need to take time to process what has happened to us, to process what's going on around us,
Mhm.
and to learn the new us. You
Yes.
have changed, and it is okay. I was talking to a friend, and she was sharing with me some things that she had done in her younger years, and she was saying, like I really wish I hadn't done those things, and now I'm here, and I'm like, hey, just slow down,
Right.
get to know the new you, and then move forward. All
Mhm.
of those things happen for a reason,
Yes.
right? And you get to know you. So then tell me what happened next.
So the new me included, I know you see my long locks now, but the new me, my hair was like this long. That
Mm,
my skin was darker from the treatments.
yes.
I was sick all the time, just, having those medicines and chemicals in my body. I was sick. I just needed to sit down. I just needed some rest,
Mhm.
honestly. Um, and then emotionally, I had been through something huge. And then, my daughter was there and she was so scared that she would no longer have her mom. So it was a big ordeal. And there was
Yeah.
just a lot of healing that had
Mm.
to be done. So God sat me down for a year. Honestly, I thought I would sit down for a couple of months and then get back to it. But no matter if when I tried to look for a job and tried to do, nothing panned out, absolutely nothing. And I
He
was just
said, "Not right now.
said,
Have a
not
seat.
right now.
Have
Mm-mm.
several seats."
It's like I'll let you know when, but this ain't it ain't now.
Yeah, yeah.
But during that time is where I built my company, Origins of Peace, because I had to get back to understanding the things that helped me relax, that helped me find peace, that made me feel powerful, tap back into my resilience, because the physical and the emotional had really did a number on me. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was really kind of unrecognizable for a bit, and I knew I was ready to, you know, okay, Melissa, you need to just get back and start doing things. So I just started walking back outside. I love to walk in nature. And it just started by that. I would walk outside for a little bit. You know, I started writing poems again, like my book. I love to write. And even if it wasn't a poem, a short story. I love to doodle. I love to just do stuff with my hands and create things. And I just got back into doing that. And eventually I found myself again. And then when I was ready and I was strong and that confidence had came back, you know, God gave me a little something. He was like, go on over here to this little contract position for a while and, you know, get yourself together, see what you're working with. So I did that for a little bit. And then a few months later, he blessed me with the most lucrative position that I had, you know, up to that
Mm.
point in my life. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Nice. So, before we get out of here, I do want everybody to, I'm just giving you a heads up. We're going to talk a little bit about the book. We're going to talk a little bit about all the other, I'm going to call it merch for the moment, that Melissa has. When Melissa says she is amazing with her hands, I've also witnessed that firsthand. So I want to talk a little bit about that. So just, we're going to put that on the back burner for a moment.
Okay.
But God gave you this lucrative position
Mm-hmm.
and you push in. And I think right during that part of your life is when you and I met.
Mm-hmm.
And then like things are going well. And then all of a sudden, another hit.
Yes. All of us.
And
Yes.
yeah, all of a sudden, go ahead. All of a sudden, that
So
job is
yeah, things were great until they weren't.
gone.
You know, companies love to do a reorg and just shake things up and, you know, rattle the norm. And that's what happened. So that position, let me tell you, what was supposed to be um, a write up for not performing the job to the level of, well, to the expectation of what they were expecting, turned out to be an opportunity to find myself again.
Mm,
Yeah. So
Say that again.
God just has a way of protecting me and taking care of me, you know. So when people think that they're actually hurting you or doing something to like push you out, it's
Mm,
gonna upset you and make you lose your faith and forget who you are. The Lord just has a way of swooping in. It's like, not this one right here, because I got her
no,
and it's gonna be okay.
Melissa, this is what I imagine when I think about God protecting us, right?
Yes.
As a mother, you know, and many moms out there know. I didn't realize how much I said this, but I tell people all the time, these right here, don't touch them.
That's
You can
right.
mess with anybody else you want to, but these right here, don't touch them. Or
That's
I'll
right.
say, um, I got 3 reasons to wear an orange jumpsuit. Please don't mess with them because
That's
I
right.
will do that, right? And so I just imagine God saying, "Oh, this one right here, mm-mm,
Not this
don't
one.
mess with her. Not
Mm-mm.
this one.
That's my
This
girl.
one mine."
Don't even. That's right.
Yes. So you said it turned into an opportunity,
It
right?
did. You know what? I went into a meeting expecting to get a write up, and I
Mm,
left with a check. So
mm.
you know what? All I
Listen,
could do was throw up my 2 fingers. And
listen.
it was real. Thank you.
Look, why do so? Look, I remember that day. I
Yes.
do. I remember that day in that conversation. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
What just happened? You like, well, I'm moving on, right?
That's right.
How do you think the experience that you had before going through the breast cancer journey
Mhm.
and surviving, although it was not easy, right? Going through all of that, how do you think that impacted you walking into this room expecting one thing and then finding out I don't even have a job anymore?
Right.
How do you think it influenced your reaction?
Oh, it was definitely preparation for the
Okay.
things to come. So that was 2015 when I went through that. And honestly, I was going through a divorce. I went through cancer treatments and I lost my job all within 6 months in that 2015 time period. So,
Mm.
stacked tragedies. eh, and I don't mean to say it like that, but what can man do to me?
Right.
Honestly, what if there's the plots and schemes of man? But you know
Yeah.
what? That's not the final say, and that's not what God has written out for my life. So I
Mm.
mean, if you don't want me, you don't want me. I'm not going to shed a tear. I might not understand at first because you coming at me in a way that this is not how I would come at you. So of course it's going to be foreign and I'm not going to
Mm.
understand and I'm going to have a hard time dealing with what you're trying to make me deal with. But in
Right.
the long run, it's going to be okay because God
Yeah.
has already spoken this over my life. He already promised me. He already told me years ago. He said, you're going to have tough times, baby girl, but you're going to be okay. And I've held
Mm.
on to that since I was like 7. It's like, okay, I know it's not going to be easy, but God already told me that I'm going to be okay. So whatever
Yes.
that looks like, in the end, I'm going to be okay.
Okay.
So
Yes.
with that thing called resilience, and I know we're going to wrap that up, but I just want to say to anybody who's listening, sometimes things might fall apart and it might look like it just might look tough. And sometimes you don't want to get up. You don't want to keep going. You just want to sit down and take care of yourself for a minute. Let me cry. Like I lost a close friend of mine a couple of months who had breast cancer for years. And it's been hard.
Hmm.
So just a couple of weeks ago, I just wanted to cry. I didn't feel like being strong. I didn't feel like wiping my tears. And we had to do that for ourselves because there is a scripture that says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. That everyone starts with me. So whatever it is that I have to do to find peace with me is what I'm going to do. So if that looks like crying one day, I'm going to cry. If it looks like just vegging out and watching something on TV that just don't make no sense, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna
Yes.
find those little moments in life where I don't have to be strong because I don't want to be. But then
Right.
I know
Then.
it's gonna be all right, and I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna keep going, and we're gonna get it together, and I'm gonna put on my lipstick and shine up my locks, and we're gonna go. But
Yes.
sometimes I don't want to, and I think we all should give ourselves enough grace and enough space to have those days.
Yes. I love that. So there was I can't find it. So if anybody out there listening can find it, please send it to me. Melissa, if you come across it, send it to me. But years ago, maybe I'm going to say 15, 20 years ago, there was a
Mhm.
Kleenex commercial. And there was a black woman sitting on a bench. And they were talking about the new, or maybe it was Puffs. I don't know. Kleenex
Mhm.
Puffs, some tissue commercial.
Right.
And they were talking about what you use the tissue for, and people were talking about it, and this woman talked about how she cried a lot, and someone asked, you know, what do you want people to know? And I think I kind of locked in because I'm a crier, right? If you start crying right now, Melissa, I feel I'm great right now, but if you
Yeah.
start crying right now, I'm gonna
Mhm.
cry with you. I don't
Right.
have to know why you're crying. I don't have to know anything, right? I cry when I'm happy. I cry when I'm sad. I cry when I'm mad. I'm just a crier. And that
Right.
woman said, my tears don't
Mhm.
define my strength.
Yes.
And that just, I held on to that. And that's what I thought of when you start talking about crying, right? If we need to cry,
Yes.
cry.
That's
Go
right.
cry. God gave you tear ducts for a reason.
Yes.
Go cry if you need to cry.
Mhm.
If you need to binge that Tubi movie,
Yes.
binge that Tubi movie.
To be.
Uh, listen, to y'all, Melissa told me Melissa was talking about this movie, and there's another young lady in our group. I call them my accountability buddies, but there's another young lady in the group, and you will meet her later in the season. But um, they were talking about this Tubi movie, and I couldn't wait to get home to watch the Tubi movie. So I get home, And you guys, if you're in Detroit, you know Tubi is big in Detroit. Like everybody in Detroit is trying to get in the Tubi movie. So I find the movie, I turn it on, and I'm like, Melissa, well, I know the actors. Like this is this is rough, right? But if you need to watch the Tubi movie, watch the Tubi movie. If you
Yeah,
need to binge, some other series, do that. Just do what you need to do for yourself,
that's
right?
right. That's right.
So that leads me to kind of, I said earlier that I don't really like the word resilience. And it's not the word resilience that I don't like, it's the way the world uses resilience,
Mm-hmm.
specifically when it comes to Black women, right? We
Yeah.
have this label of being strong Black women,
Mm-hmm.
which means to the world that you can carry the weight of the world on your shoulders, that you don't need to stop to be cared for. Um, the story that you told earlier about the doctor not even reading your medical charts, right? I
Mm-hmm.
had an experience recently where I had a therapist and my primary medical doctor saying, you need some time off work. Like, you got to stop. We need to stop. You know, they were talking about medication, and I was deciding whether or not I was going to take the medication and going through all of that. And then this man, who's never met me, never had a conversation with me at all, at an insurance company somewhere, decided she don't need no time off work. She
Mm-hmm.
needs exposure therapy. She needs to go back and be exposed. Exposed to what? I've been working for the last 20 years. Like,
Right.
right? It's so that strong Black woman thing, I think we've just replaced the word strong with resilient. And so
Mm-hmm.
many of us are trying to shed not the words, because there's nothing wrong with being strong, there's nothing wrong with being resilient. But we're trying to shed what the world puts on us when we pick those words up. So how do we as Black women in
Mm-hmm.
these corporate spaces, how do we balance being resilient, going through, you know, whatever the journey is? Yours was breast cancer, yours was divorce, someone else's may be a sick child, or someone else's maybe, I had a long battle. Both of my parents had chronic diseases. I lost my father. My mother, thank God, is in remission.
Mm-hmm.
We're dealing with things outside, just like everybody is. But
Right.
also as Black women, we're dealing with the racism. We're
Yes.
dealing with the microaggressions. We're dealing with everything else. How can we be resilient in the true sense of the word? How do we
Mm-hmm.
balance that without letting the world take advantage of us?
So my thing is, you first got to give yourself permission to be fully you. Like,
Hmm.
there are so many instances where people will try to mute who you are, like
Mm.
mute you from fully showing up as your creative, beautiful, intentional self. People try to put you in a box to be what they need you to be when they need you to be it, but that's not who you are. So you first have to give yourself permission to shine in the light that God has given you. So with me, I am a very creative person and I give myself permission to be that in the workplace. So whatever that is, I might not can be as loud and bright as I would like to be, but what can I do that still gives me a sense of who I am while I need to go handle my business at these people's job? So,
Yes.
like we've talked about before, I might add a little bit of color to brighten my mood. I might, style my hair a different way to make me feel good. Like whatever it is, and it goes back to whatever your origins of peace are, whatever your starting point to get you where you need to be, then that's what you need to do to get through what you got to do and then to keep it moving. It's
I
only
love
a
it, y'all.
it's just a bus stop. It's not the final destination. It's just one stop on the route. So you
Yeah.
can't give it all you got. You
Yes.
give them enough. Do what you need to do. Take care of yourself. Show up as who you are, but you first start by giving yourself permission to do that.
Yes, y'all. Melissa being nice. She said, "I'll put a little color on. I'll do my hair." She called it her razzle dazzle.
Yes, my
Right. It's her razzle dazzle. Right. I love it. I can't get that out of my head. Right. Yesterday I had a coaching client and he goes, so now I feel bad. You all dressed with your blazer on. I said, I got a little razzle dazzle for you.
that's
That's what
pretty.
Melissa told me to do. I got a little razzle dazzle for you. Got a little razzle dazzle for you, right? So I got two more questions for you,
Mhm.
and then we're gonna wrap it up. What do you want to tell our listeners about resilience that we haven't talked about?
I think,
Anything?
yeah, I think the true resilience is in being yourself, not being afraid to be vulnerable, knowing that you've had challenges, but those challenges are not really, yeah, it's for you, but it's not really for you because somebody else is looking. Somebody else needs to know what you did to make it over. Somebody else needs to know the testimony. Like my whole book, my poetry book, is full of stories of resilience. I talk about death in there. I talk about breast cancer in there. I talk about imposter syndrome in there. I talk about not recognizing myself, not being confident, not being bold, not showing up in the way that I'm supposed to show up. But I take all of those experiences and wrap them into a nice, beautiful, inspirational, elegant poem because don't nobody need to hear about all the trouble. They need to know what you did. You know, you went through that so that you can what? So that you can live freely in peace with intention. That's the
Yeah.
whole point. So it's like we're given these situations and these stories, these narratives that happen in our life, but like what you gonna do with that, sis? Are you gonna let it hold you down? Are you gonna let it keep you from living out your dreams? Are you gonna let it not allow you to experience life to the fullest? Or are you gonna
Yeah.
put a bow on that thing, wrap it up?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying, just don't feel what you feel because you need to feel what you feel. But when you feeling it, that's where the freedom is. Feeling it,
Mm.
going through it,
Yeah.
understanding the lesson, pulling out the gems from the challenge, not
Yeah.
sitting in the challenge, but knowing that, hey, I was given this for a reason. Something else is
Yes.
coming down the road. And because I went through this thing 9 years ago, I'm going to know how to handle this on the other side a little bit better than I handled it 9 years ago.
Yes. I think you just gave us the subtitle for the episode. While the
Okay.
episode might be called "The Power of Resilience," maybe the subtitle is "What you gonna do with that, sis?"
What you going to
Like,
do with that?
what you gonna do with that? What you gonna do with that, right?
Yeah.
So you talk about your book, which you guys is absolutely amazing. I'm not
Thank
gonna sell it for her. I'm gonna let her do that. So let's do that now. Why don't you tell everybody? Can you tell them first about the book? Second, a little more about Origins of Peace, and
you.
then all of the razzle dazzle that you have and where they
Yeah,
can find you.
of course. So I'm going to start by sharing one of the poems in the book before I get into anything else.
Let's do
And
that.
this poem is called Made Useful. And this thing was written to help me overcome imposter syndrome when I was going through it. When I was trying to figure out what my purpose was, how I was supposed to show up in this world, what I thought I should be doing, how I was comparing myself to other folks. And then God gave me a word and told me that I didn't have to do none of that.
Mm,
That just as I am uniquely and wonderfully made, a chosen people, that I had
yes,
a purpose
yes,
already, that I didn't have
yes.
to validate or prove myself to nobody because he
Before
already
he
did that.
formed you in your mother's womb. Yes,
Yeah, he already did that. And he said,
yes,
your name Melissa, don't you forget that. And I ain't
yes,
never forgot that. So I'm going to read this
yes,
poem.
yes.
But is inspired by 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 20. And it says, in a large house, and I want you to imagine this because I have a very vivid imagination. So in a large house, there are articles, not only of gold and silver, but
Mm,
also of wood and clay. Some are for noble purposes and some for ignoble. But if a man cleanses himself of the latter, he will be an instrument for noble purposes, made holy, useful to the master, and prepared to do any good work. I want you to
Mm,
imagine that, a big old house with a whole lot of stuff in it and nothing knowing where it's supposed to fit in. Just imagine all of that. But the poem says, rejection and heartache, intense lessons were learned. My smile was often hidden because emotions were burned. With a need to feel love and to make the hurt go away, I was longing for that sacred place to rest and to stay. But God saw my struggle and He covered me with grace. He came to me one morning and put glory on my face, a glory so bright and a future new to me. Some cannot believe the sin that once consumed me, but now I am brand new, cleansed, and ready for use. The yoke that had me bound is no longer a noose. To profess His word and His love to a chosen people who are handpicked by God and all are loved equal, holy, useful, and prepared for good work. I'm accepting the commission to be one of God's clerks. The work is plenty, but the workers are few. Allow Him to cleanse you and become useful too. And I'm just going
mm.
to clap it up for the Lord because those are His words.
Yes, yes,
Words
yes.
spoken
That's
to
just
me.
yeah, just just a little
Yeah,
bit of what you get in
yeah,
that book. I am lucky enough to already have an e-copy of the book.
yeah.
Um, and looking forward to all the great things that come from this. Let me say it again: bestseller
Thing.
in four categories.
Yeah,
Bestseller in four categories. So y'all go get that book. Um, from God with Love by Melissa Rivers. Tell us what else you got going on, Melissa.
so other than that, I have my company, Origins of Peace. You can find me at originsofpeace.com on the internet. You can also purchase your physical copy of From God with Love there. I am a self-awareness coach. So as we talked about this evening, I help everyone. I won't just say women because I love to assist men too. But I think it's important that we are aware of who we are and then work with our strengths, our talents, understand our values in order to create a clear path forward to live in peace, to live with power, and then to influence others to do the same. So that's who I
Yes.
am. That's my brand. That's what I stand for. And I would love to welcome you into the Origins of Peace community. Because as you can tell, we have a lively, fun, God-filled time over here.
I love it. I love it. And I will make sure that when we post this episode, all of your information is in the notes so that folks are able to see it. And I'm going to leave people with this. Melissa and I met in a coaching program. In the midst of the three of us, there are three in my group, right? My sisters, right? I can't wait. It's crazy what the internet does because I promise you, I feel like we all live right in the same subdivision somewhere
Right.
together, and we don't. We live in three different states, right?
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the girls' trip. But we met at a time in our lives where I think God was bringing us together. Um, we all were experiencing and have experienced some pretty traumatic things along the journey. And not only that, we do very similar things in our businesses. And so I want to leave you guys with this. We can support one another. There is enough out there for all of us. When your sister is down, help
Mm,
her
yes.
so that she can get back up. She's going to do the same for you. And as we are all resilient together, we make each other that much more strong as a group. And so I just want to encourage you guys to think about that. Think about being resilient for yourself, but think about being resilient in community. There is nothing quite like community. And
Mm,
we know as Black women, as women for sure, but as Black women, as we come together, and support one another in community, truly stand together, there is nothing that can stop us
that's
at
right.
all.
That's right.
Nothing. So, Melissa, I thank you for being with us today. I thank you for talking about resilience. I thank you for reframing resilience for us and being transparent and sharing your story and giving us a whole lot to think about.
Nice. I love
So
it. Thank you
thank
for
you so
having me.
much for being here. Thank you guys for listening. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Black Woman in the Corner Office podcast. See you soon. Bye, guys.